You're listening to the Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show with your host, Coach Tim Campsall, where we talk with successful business owners to hear the stories of their journeys in building their successful businesses. And more importantly, we recognize the folks who help them excel because we know that achieving business success is not something we can do on our own.
Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from Indiana with us today. My guest, check this out, loves to cook, which I know it's a guy and he loves to cook, so that's awesome. And also, he enjoys sailing, and in his downtime, he likes to spend time with his wife as well as playing golf and doing anything outside. And he's proud of having a 25-year-old business, but more importantly, he is most proud of his 25-year-old marriage. It is my pleasure to welcome Troy to the show today. Hello, Troy.
Hello.
How are you doing today? How's life?
Doing good. Doing well. Just living the dream, as everybody says. Right?
I love it. Well, hey, let's start with how have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your personal story, where you were born, where you live, about your family, and some of your hobbies.
All right. So I was born in San Diego, California, and I spent a whopping 6 weeks there until my dad got out of the Navy, and they moved back to the hometown, which is in northern Indiana. Well, it's actually not a little town, but it's a town next to South Bend called Mishawaka. Mm-hmm. Spent all my, growing up years there. Went to Ball State in Muncie, Indiana after that. Took a short stint back home after school, and then got a job down in Indianapolis, and have lived in the Indianapolis area since. And that's been, 28 plus years, I think. Now have a wife, like you mentioned. We have 2 kids. One's 20, he'll be 23 in about a half a month. And then I've got a daughter that'll be 21 in January. Fantastic. And of course, we have a dog like everybody. And
And what's your favorite hobby?
Well, like you said, I do love to cook. But favorite, like true hobby, is probably playing golf with the guys, or even my wife. I finally got her into it this past year. So.
Wonderful. What's your wife's name?
Taryn.
Sorry, Tammy, did you say?
Taryn.
Taryn.
Like Karen with a T.
Yeah, Taryn. Thank you. Sorry, my slip. And what's your favorite dish to cook for Taryn?
Oh boy, she's got a bunch. This wasn't in your list of questions. She's gonna if I get this wrong. She loves Nashville hot chicken. She also has to do gluten-free, so I have to kind of do it in a little bit of a different way. So she loves Nashville hot chicken. She loves Mexican. So like tonight, it's a Tuesday, so tonight's gonna be Mexican night. Yeah. She loves fajitas and all that stuff. So
wonderful. What got you into enjoying cooking?
Well, I was a bachelor for, I don't know, several years after college, and I got tired of the fast food thing. Enough to at least kind of figure this out. And so I cooked. I'll tell you a funny side story. She's going to be embarrassed if she watches this. For like 2 months before we got married, we stayed with her parents to save some money. And one of the things of the deal was we would cook one night a week. And I'm like, one night a week, I'm saving 6 nights. Great. Do that. So we're going to cook just basically chicken, broccoli, and some rice, super simple dinner. And she said, can I help? I'm like, sure. You want to make the rice? So I'm cooking the chicken and the broccoli, and I'm about done. I'm like, hey, how much longer you got on the rice? And she says, I don't know. I'm like, well, what time did you put it on? She goes, I don't know. I lift the lid and I look in there and I'm like, how much water did you put in there? She's like, I don't know. Cooking it like pasta. So anyway, I cooked. Sorry for the side story there.
No, that's awesome. I love it.
So I cooked all the time and, just enjoyed it. And then I think it was 2018. I came home from work, and she was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and then she started picking up some other things she was doing. And I came home from work, and I'm not the type of guy to say, hey, where's my food? But I'm hungry, and I'm like, I'm gonna just cook something. She's upstairs working on something. I'm gonna cook, and I'm like, hey, dinner's ready. And Like
Oh,
literally, I think she was like, "Oh, if you're going to do that, I'm never."
yeah. I love the rice story. Well, it's only fair that you tell a funny story about her, because now I'm going to ask you to tell us a funny story about you. Is there a story your family likes to tell about you you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, there were several embarrassing ones that I thought of, and I'm going to skip those. I actually asked them, "Hey, what's a funny story?" And they all said the same story. So I'll share this one. It's not an embarrassing funny, but I find it a funny story. So Taryn's dad, for her upbringing on Halloween, would scare all the kids. He'd dress up or jump out at them or whatever. Well, we kind of carried that tradition over when we got married, and it just kind of got bigger and bigger. And one year I dressed up as a scarecrow, complete with, stuffing of straw and everything coming out of me. And I had like a stick to, so I'm kind of just hunched over like a true scarecrow planted in somebody's yard. And then somebody would come up and I would jump out at them. And this went on like all night. And, I scared parents, and it was great. But there was this one kid that came up, and he was like, everybody's like, "Yeah, that thing's real. That's a real person." And he comes up, he's like, "No, that is not real." And he gets like face to face with me. And I just said, "I'm not real." And he literally sprinted down the street, bloody, screaming bloody murder. Well, the interesting part of the story, I guess, is fast forward probably 8 years. I'm coaching lacrosse for the local high school team. And one of the players, this is my first year coaching with him, and one of the players comes up to me and he said, "Hey, do you scare kids on Halloween?" Yeah. He said, "Do you remember scaring a kid half to death and running down the street when you were a scarecrow?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "That was me."
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah, my mom liked to do that as well. So I can appreciate it, seeing it happen. It is funny for the people who aren't being scared to watch other people getting scared.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Troy, tell us, how did the business come about, and at what point did you have confidence that you could run your own business?
So the business came about. Let's see. I was young and didn't know very much. Knew less than I thought, right? And I'm working at a company. I tell people all the time, I worked at this company for 3 years, and I tell them I got my master's degree in product development working for this company. They had everything under one roof, and we, I learned a lot, and I kind of started seeing the financial part of what I did, which was design product, and I thought, man, we could do this. I could do this on my own. Yeah. So I get married, and on our honeymoon, I talked to my wife. We went on a cruise and had plenty of time to talk. And I said, "What do you think about me starting this on my own?" She's like, "Go for it." And the whole time I'm thinking, well, that's easy to say, but and honestly, the bigger drawback was we needed some pretty decent funding to get it started, because software and computers back then were a lot more money than they are now. So that was kind of the big thing. Well, I came home, and a coworker actually kind of lived just down the street from us, and I was sitting on the back porch with him, and we're just kind of talking. And I said, "Hey, thinking about starting my own thing." And he's like, "Oh, really?" I was kind of thinking that too. Like, "You want some help?" And I'm like, "Well, what would you add to the company?" And he said, "Well, I could do sales." And that's what he did for the other company. And I'm thinking, great, I know nothing about sales.
Yeah,
you can be the sales guy, blah, blah, blah. So, and then, we were able to secure some funding from family. And next thing you know, we were, my honeymoon was in May, and August 15th, I left that job. And
wow,
the formal paperwork was September 12th of 98. So,
wow. Tell us a little bit more about the company. What's the name? What do you guys do? How do you help people?
So it's Impulse Product Development. We're basically a product development company. We help individuals and businesses design products, get them ready for prototyping, manufacturing, and then once the design's ready, we kind of hand it over to the manufacturer and let them do their thing. There's obviously a lot that goes on in the middle there that we also help out with, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what we do. So because of my background with that company, by the way, that company, we saw the writing on the wall that they were not going to be around much longer. That was another little kick in the pants to go try this on our own. But we knew we were going to lose our jobs, and we were right. We left in August, and they filed bankruptcy in March. So
wow.
we would have been looking for jobs anyway. But so yeah, because of that background, we help people. We'd have a lot of juvenile background, rattles and strollers and car seats and high chairs and things like that. We've done, like I've said many times before, we've done anything from baby rattles to aircraft components. So
wonderful. For everyone listening, make sure to check them out. Go to the link in the description below on this interview, and also comment on their LinkedIn. Tell them that you watched their interview. So, Troy, share us a story where someone pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, even though maybe you didn't think that you could, and the impact that that person had on you.
So I would bet a large majority of people answer this with something that had a positive impact. But for whatever reason, I just have this need to share one with a negative impact. That partner I started the business with, to make a long story short, after about 2 years, we had to part ways. And when he left, I was sitting on 6 figures of debt by myself. And, it was literally just me at that point. And, I'm 2 years into a business and don't know what I'm doing. And I was scared, to be honest. And there was another company. So some of the people that went down with the ship at that other company formed a company doing a lot of the other things that company did. And once they found out that my partner left, they, again, long story short, wanted to buy part of Impulse. And part of that was they were going to take care of the debt and blah, all those things you hash out. So I talked to my wife about it. And again, I'm scared and don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm on my own, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't think you should sell it. I don't think you should sell it. I think you can do this on your own. I think you're going to be fine. So she's the one that told me I could do it. The lesson learned there was, when your wife has a feeling and tells you to do something, you should listen. But I didn't. I did sell the company. And of course, I felt good the day, they said, okay, we're going to agree to this. By the time that was in the spring, I think, when we came to an agreement, and by the time everything gets through lawyers and, all that stuff, it should have spelled the writing on the wall. September 11th was the day we signed the paperwork.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Buildings were burning while we were signing paperwork. So it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It lasted about 3 years, and then, it just wasn't working. And, interesting story, in that gap of when we agreed and when things got signed, I had erased the debt.
Oh, no.
So she was right. We were going to be okay.
You did it on your own.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a story of, someone encouraged me and telling me I could do this. And like I said, when we talked about just starting the company, she was like, do it. She's always been like that. So, yeah, I just didn't listen on that one.
It's great to have that support network and somebody who believes in you and nudges you and encourages you to step out and just do it. Because you said earlier, it can be lonely at the top and it can be scary. So having that support network's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way Impulse would still be around if it weren't for her. So
fantastic. So Troy, I'm sure there's many, but what's your biggest learning as a business owner over the last 25 years?
I have to limit it to one. Well, I mean, kind of on the heels of that story I just told, I would never tell anybody absolutely don't, but I would really question yourself about having a partner. In my case, again, I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. And if I look back and I'm honest about it, it was, I was insecure and thought, well, with this other person, I can do it. I was a lie to myself, but, and it ended up causing trouble and struggle, and it ruin a friendship, and all that stuff. So I would never say don't ever get a partner, or don't ever have a partner. I mean, if somebody truly does bring in a skill set that you don't have, and you guys can work together and complement each other, then maybe it works. But I would just be really cautious about let's just get a bunch of people, because it lowers our risk.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of other risk that you add when you do stuff like that. Another little lesson on the side, I just talked about, listen to your spouse. I mean, and it's not just a women's intuition, or she looks at things at a different perspective,
Yes.
So
yeah. Generally speaking, we attract our opposite in our spouse. So
Sure.
They see the world through different lenses than we do, and can point out different things that we don't see or don't understand. So yeah. I agree. It's good to get a second set of eyes and a different opinion on stuff.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing, I know you said 1 and I'm on 3 now, but
it's bonus round.
Yeah. I think the thing, just looking back over the 25 years of doing this, obviously there can be a time, and we may touch on it, where things are like really bad, but things usually aren't ever as bad as you think they are, or as you're making them out to be. And so I try to keep that in the back of my head all the time. It's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And even if we do have to fold the business, like, life's going to go on, and you're going to be okay.
Yes.
So.
I love that. Yes. I've been in a mindset program for the last couple of years. And one of the messages from that I find helpful is that life happens for us, not to us. And everything happens for a reason, to help us to grow and develop into the next version of ourselves. So, so to embrace it and say, yep, this too will pass, and I'll get through this, is the right mindset, because then we can focus on attracting the next success and the next win.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there are just countless conversations over the years with friends and people that have lost jobs. And, of course, that's not an easy thing to go through, but man, they come out on the other side and they're like, oh, it was the best thing to happen.
Yes. I want to go back to your comment about partners, because I think that's very valuable for the folks listening. Is, getting into a business partnership is no different than getting into a marriage partnership, right? And so we don't want to do it quickly. We want to make sure that we understand, the other person's nuances and idiosyncrasies, and spend time dating before we, jump into that formal relationship and formal marriage, because, a business partnership is a contract, and it can be, to your point, your stories, it can be challenging and difficult. And so I always caution folks, the same as you just did, is make sure that you really understand what you're doing, and that you've got some written into the language, you've got some escape clauses and some protection in case it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I even had a guy, it was he owned I think it was a roofing and siding company, or gutter, or something along those lines. And Taryn had nannied for him. And so I was talking to him, and I said, yeah, I'm thinking about starting a company. And I even told him, like, I've got a buddy that might go in with me. And he looked me right in the eye and he said, don't do it with a partner. And I'm thinking, what does this guy know? And now I'm his age going, you know what? That's what he knows. He went through it. So,
right. Hey, Troy, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation. So tell us about, and it might be something we just talked about, but tell us about one of your biggest challenges during the years, and maybe a fellow business owner who came alongside you and helped you through it.
Yeah. So, first, I'll put, like, this is a little bit against the name of this whole show, but I'm pretty horrible at networking, and I'm kind of I'll just pick myself up by the bootstraps, and it's to a fault. I know that's not the way to do it, but so I'm not that kind of guy that is like, you know what, I see an area here that I need help with, so I should go out and look for some help. But there was a time that, well, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I don't know sales, which is a little bit of a lie. Everybody can sell, but
yeah,
I just wasn't confident in it. Didn't understand kind of what I'm trying to do. I felt, weird about it, blah, blah, blah. I was working with a marketing firm, long story short, and I don't remember how it went down. It was a long time ago, but they had a connection with a company that did sales training, and they were doing a free, 1 hour sales meeting. I'll give you some tips. It was I'm going to give you 20 things and I'm going to sell you after that because it's going to be so valuable to you.
Yeah.
So I asked her, I said, do you think I should go to that? And she said, you've already told me you don't know sales. She said, yeah, it's a free thing. Even if you don't work with them, you're going to gain something from them. Go. Probably the best thing I ever did for my business. Cost me a lot of money, but it's probably the best thing I ever did. It ended up just working out crazy well, working with that person. And I'm not a great salesperson, but I'm confident when it comes to the sales process. And
yes, awesome. So actually it didn't cost you a lot of money. It was a fantastic investment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at it from the right perspective.
I'm laughing with you, right? Because I know what you're saying, right? In terms of it can look bad on paper of the how much you pay, but when you look at the ROI, it's like, oh wow, that wasn't anything.
It was way beyond 10 times ROI. Yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. So who was that person that gave you that nudge? Do you
remember her name?
Oh,
I don't. I don't even remember the name of the marketing company. It was a short stint.
Sure.
It was kind of a website refresh and do a couple of blog things, and
sure.
We worked together for 2 weeks, I think. But I don't remember. Sorry.
No, that's fine. When she listens to this, she can type it in the notes and let us know.
There you go.
Yeah. Troy, if I'm going to put you on the spot here, if I was to ask you to pick 3 people in your business owner journey that you're most grateful for them being there for your business's growth, who are those 3 people and how'd they help you?
Well, you'll be shocked to hear me say my wife. Again, I'm not doing this if it's not for her. And the support and advice and everything she's done. That sales coach that I mentioned, he kind of opened, it wasn't just a sales thing. It was a lot of mindset stuff. So that just really opened up my mind to, hey, this is more than, hoping you get a client to show up in the front door, do a good job for them, they pay the bill and you move on. There's so much more impact we can have. So that sales coach was unbelievably instrumental in kind of taking the business from just a couple of guys hacking around to, hey, this is somewhat of a legitimate business.
Yeah.
And then the last one, he's not an owner, but when the COVID thing happened, we had 2 pretty rough years before COVID. So when COVID happened, we were just about done. And I called him and I said, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm probably going to have to let the guys go in a couple weeks. And he's like, don't do anything until I talk to you. And he works at a Fortune 500 company, huge company. And he took it upon himself to go to his boss and the next boss and the next boss. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone with them. And I basically basically they said, send us a bill, we'll pay it, and you can put it towards work in the coming months.
Wow.
Because they knew what was coming. It was just we couldn't get to them actually releasing the work. It literally, I might still be hacking around, but it pretty much saved the business, and the employees and all that. So, so for a client, I've had a lot of clients, that are just amazing, but for a client to be like, you know what, I'm going to go stick my neck out and see if I can help you, then, obviously they've got to make that list. So,
wow, what an incredible story. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it brings almost tears to my eyes, just how generous people can be in a time of need.
So Chad, if you're watching this, I appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you, Chad. Troy, as you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what's the biggest challenge that you feel that you're going to face to hit your goals, and who are the types of people that you're going to need to solve those?
So 3 to 5 year goals. My number one goal is probably for every company, but I need to grow our client base.
Yeah.
And while I said I'm okay at sales, when it comes to lead generation, I got nothing. I honestly just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, don't make or don't have, we can debate that, the time to actually generate content and do the things you need to do to have a marketing campaign, just to do some lead generation. So impulse is no good economic indicator, but we've been through 2 recessions, and from what they're saying, likely a 4th or a 3rd. The 2 years before the recessions were slow years for impulse. The year of the recession was a big year for impulse. We've had a pretty slow year, so I'm expecting next year might be pretty good based on our awesome economic indicators that we have. So, and if I'm wrong with that, we still need to increase the client base, sure, just to weather, the storm that may be coming. So that's one area I'm going to need some help. Again, it hasn't been a great year, so of course we'll get to this in a minute, but I don't necessarily have the money to invest in that right now, but it's something we've got to invest in if we're going to grow the client base. Yeah. And then, kind of like you and I have talked about a little bit offline, I got to get out of the way. I don't want to do this forever. And I don't want to just be, all right, guys, I'm done. Been real, go have fun. So I want to get out of the way. And I'm probably going to need some help doing that. So if you know anybody that might be able to help me do that,
we might be able to talk about that afterwards. I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing, though, because I suspect many people listening, are having similar, challenges or ideas of challenges that they're going to face. The getting out of our own way is a big one that I hear all the time, right? We've, in your case and in many business owners' cases, we've put, the sweat and tears and blood and anxieties and stresses into the business. And you've been doing this for a long time, 25-year-old business. Not many companies can even, begin to think about saying that they've been around for 25 years. But what typically happens is we figure it out, right? We put in the hard work and the time in figuring out, and we get a business that is working. And so then there's a bit of a fear of letting go and having someone else do it, because in a lot of cases we've tried it and it didn't necessarily work out. So now we're gun shy to try it again. It's like, oh, well, I'm just going to hold on to it myself because I know at least I have that control. And if something goes wrong, I know it was me instead of someone else. Now, the problem with that is that, if we're the bottleneck, then, and God forbid something happens to us, then the business is done. Right. And, growing up, my dad got hurt. He was a mechanic and had surgery and wasn't able to, the surgery didn't take. And, unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish his trade. So for the folks listening, right, the risk is, you don't want that risk. You want to have a goal of building a business that can run without you, so that you eliminate that risk of something happening to you. And then more importantly, right, you put in all that time and effort in building a business, you want to be able to reap the rewards of it. So, having a business that can run without you means you can go on vacation and, and enjoy time with the family and all of the, all the fruits of your labor. So again, Troy, thank you for sharing, because I suspect a lot of people listening to this are in a similar place of, how do I take the business to the next level, right? How do I remove myself as a bottleneck, and how do I eliminate the risks of having somebody else do it? So
yeah.
So yes, to your point, yes, we can talk about that. We'll chat offline. People who are listening, if you have a similar challenge in your business, you want to talk about it, happy to have a free consultation. So reach out to me. Troy, last question here. Jim Rohn said that we become the average of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. So as you think about that quote and your own experiences, what's your advice for business owners who are trying to do it on their own?
Well, kind of like we just talked about, I'm in my own way, and I'm in a service business, so I'm billing hours, right? Mm-hmm. Well, there's only so many hours I can put in.
Yeah.
So, from that standpoint, if I'm just going to hold on to everything, like I'm just going to cap out on the amount of money I can make. I'm going to cap out on the number of people I can employ, lives I can impact, that kind of thing. So, I guess the first thing would be like, we got to get out of that mindset. With me, my brain's going one way. I don't remember your question, but I'm gonna keep talking and you stop me if I'm.
Please, yeah, yes, no, I like it.
I look at stuff like getting help. I'm a horrible networker. I already said that, so I don't have this Rolodex of other business owners that I can call and say, hey, I'm struggling with this or struggling with this. What'd you do, or what do you would recommend, that kind of thing. So when I look at something like that, like, hey, I need help with lead generation or a marketing campaign, or, how to get out of my way, that kind of thing. To me, it's like, I need to spend some money to hire a professional or somebody that knows what they're doing to help me with this. It's what I've found over the years. It's really, when business is going really well and you have the money, you probably are too busy to spend the time
right.
to work with that person, right?
Right.
And when business is going really poorly, you don't have the money to spend it. So you just got to force yourself to, spend the money, take the time, and do it. I go back to the sales coaching thing. That wasn't cheap, at least in my perspective. But I still make money because of that. Yeah. So, I don't even know if I answered your question there.
I think that was great. You also talked about mindset, which I also like that you brought that up, because, it starts with what we believe in our head, right? The message is the record that we're playing in our head. So, if we believe that, that it's not going to pay out, it won't. If we believe that we can't find the time, we won't. If we believe that it's a must do to take us to the next level, and that we will figure out how to find the time and money, then we will, right? We attract what we believe. And so mindset is critical. So, if we know that there's something holding us back, and we don't know, how to fix it, then let's reach out and talk to people, right? Talk to other business owners. You mentioned networking. Yeah. Networking can feel a little stressful to some of us, depending on how we're hardwired, but it might be a necessary evil to, go to a chamber and chat with a couple other business owners and say, hey, well, how do you do your lead generation? Or how do you do your marketing? Or who would you recommend I talk to? And what I found is that there are less than 5% of business owners who aren't willing to chat with another business owner and share stories and maybe, pass on some wisdom and help someone else out, because we've all been there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like a number of your stories that you've been blessed with some incredible people in your life who have helped you on the journey of building your business. So, Troy, if they were all here on the show today, what would you want to say to them?
Well, obviously, thank you. You've blessed me, you've blessed my family. The things we've been able to do and have are amazing, but you've also you've blessed the employees that have worked for me. So yeah, it's interesting you asked that question, because I think relationships, business relationships tend to be very transactional. And I think especially the people giving the business don't understand the impact, or don't realize maybe the impact that they really have. There are other people, the real people on the other end of that really benefit from them trusting them. So so thank you to all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Troy, for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsall. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.